Hi folks, I'm here. Try another way of going live. Isn't this enough? Hello, I'm here. Anyone else here? Just kind of waiting. I'm hoping you can hear me. Hi, Chris. Can you hear me? Hi, April. Nice to see you from Arizona. Yay, I'm in Maine. Hi, Lynn. Also nice to see you. Great. I can't wait to get started, but I'm going to give it a minute or two. I can see there's... Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me. This is the first time I'm doing this, and trying to find all the things to get them set up is a challenge, but we are here and we are set and we are ready to go. It's clouding up here in Maine, looking like we might get some snow. I can't believe we're going to get May snow. Hi, Cindy from Wisconsin. Excellent. This is great. So I have this little technique that I really love, and maybe what I'll do is show you a couple of my placemats that I've made in the past. But this one is one that I love to use. This is one of my summer placemats, and you can see it has this sort of self-mitered binding. And some people call these self-bindings. I'm sure there are other names for them, but this is one that I did, and one of my lessons I learned is that I prefer not to use a light-colored background. But that is one version, and here's another version. This too wound up being a light-colored background, coming to the front, but it's a great placemat. And then the one that I'm working on right now is I'm using some fruits and vegetable fabrics that I had that were left over, and it's just been fun working on it. And I always enjoy using this binding, because when you figure out if you're making 4 placemats, you're doing somewhere close to, oh, I don't know, at least 100 inches of binding, which just seems ridiculous to me. I could do the math, but I'm not going to do the math right now. Anyway, so the first thing I do is I start with a placemat that I've made. So this placemat is all made, and I layer it with backing, and I cut it exactly to size. So the first couple times I learned this technique, they said to do it on, to do it with a fake back and then put your backing on it. I like to quilt right on the backing that I'm going to use. So I cut this to size, and then the next thing I do is I layer this batting. So you can see it's layered with at least a couple inches all the way around the placemat. I like at least 2 inches because I want that extra binding to come to the front. So with 2 inches, you get a little less than 1 inch binding by the time you turn it around. So what I do is I quilt everything, and I quilt it pretty simply. Mostly on this one, I just quilted the lines. And then one of the things I do is I go right around the edge. Now, when you're quilting something like this, unlike a lot of other things, you want to make sure you either bury your knots or that you knot it with your machine, which is what I do because it's going to be washed a couple of times. Then the next thing I do is I do a final trim, and so these were trimmed all to 2 inches right around the edge. And then the next thing you do is you want to cut this funny corner, and this is what's going to give you the binding. Now there are 2 rulers that I show in my sheet that I have ready for you. But this is one, and it's got a join on the 45, which I don't know if you can see, because I can't see if I show this up to you. So you line this up with the 45-degree lines on the edges of the placemat, and you have a 1/4 inch left right here. So you cut right across that, and you leave a 1/4 inch. Does that make sense to people? Hi, Nancy. And then after you do that all the way around. You fold this in half. No, sorry, that's wrong. The first thing you do is then you press all your edges. So you press your edges into the center, each one of these. I'll go through this another time. So you press your edges in, and then you fold your piece this way. You press the edges in, you fold your piece this way. So your edges are pressed, and then what you do is you take a 1/4 inch seam right here. So you take your 1/4 inch seam, and once you do that, you get your mitered edge. So it will look like this on the back, but you just pop that edge around, and you get this nice mitered edge, which will form your binding. And then I would pin all the way around this, and then sew all the way around the edge. So it's a really, really fast way of making this kind of a placemat. The quilting takes longer probably than anything, and the preparation of the pieces. So again, I prepare the pieces, I make my placemat, I layer it on batting, I trim it to the batting to size. I then lay it on a backing which is at least 2 inches bigger all the way around. I then do the quilting. Once I'm done with the quilting, I do this cut. And as I said, this cut is sort of the trickiest thing, but every ruler, so my OmniGrid, oops, if I do this just right, I can knock everything over. My OmniGrid ruler has a 45-degree line. So you can see this line here is a 45-degree line. And what I would do if I was using this ruler I would line it up on this horizontal edge, leave a 1/4 inch. That's a 30-degree, that's why that's not looking right. Here we go. And then you have your 1/4 inch line right here. You make your cut straight across, leaving that 1/4 inch. You press your edges all the way, again, into the, up to the edge of your quilt. Take that piece, fold it this way, sew that 1/4 inch, and then you turn your mitered corners around. So it's really, really fast, and then you go around one more time with your stitching and do that. So it's really quite quick. On my website, KathleenMcMusing.com, there's a My Shop section, and there are patterns and freebies, and under the freebie section is a whole pattern for how to do this, a whole set of instruction sheets for how to make this binding. You could certainly do it on a quilt, but I wouldn't do it on something that I want to last longer, as I do this mostly on things that I'm going to use for a little bit, that maybe, you know, are not heirlooms. Placemats are not heirlooms. They get used, they get washed a lot. So it's really fast. It's much faster than making all that binding to go around a silly little placemat. It is really a time saver, Lynn. I find that the preparation takes a little bit more time, but once you get done with the quilting and you go to do this binding, you're only sewing around once, no hand stitching. Very, very fast, very durable in the washing machine. As I said, I've used this one, is my newest one that I'm making with very old fabrics. I think they're probably from 2000, 2001. It is really good for placemats or little table runners even. And then you have the flat edge, which is also nice. And this was another version that I did. So sometimes I just do it with fabrics to feature a fabric. The fun thing about the one that I'm doing now is that it just takes strips. So it's really fast. Much better than binding. So that's my little tutorial for today. it was a pretty quick one. Does anyone have any questions about anything? See if I can respond in real time here. If not, this will be available on my Facebook page, as well as a link to, well, Lynn, you probably do need more placemats. And let me tell you, the other thing I really love with placemats and things that I use around food are batiks, because batiks already look like they have stain marks on them. So that's kind of fun. Anyway, so that's my little tips and tutorial for today. You can find it on my website. There's a link to it, KathleenMcMusing.com. And in the My Store and freebies and patterns, there is a whole thing hot off the press that I just finished a little bit ago for you. So it's right there so that you can enjoy it. Thanks so much for coming. Oh yeah, the batiks are great. Oh, I love my notions wall. So my notions wall is an IKEA thing, and it's really quite fun. And it really gives you a lot of space, and it's a stupid little space in my studio where there's an indent in the wall, so it was really a perfect thing for this. Any other questions or thoughts or comments? I'll give you another minute or two, and if not, I will say goodbye. It's the same one on Instagram, so no thanks for, you don't have to watch twice unless you really want to. But thanks so much for coming. Enjoy doing this. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.